Host, Shelley Roberts. Myself, along with this series of fabulous speakers, are sharing what it means to be living powerfully from our own inner authority, which gives you wings to fly. I invite you to listen in on each of these conversations to get the most out of this event. It can be a game changer. One aha could literally change your life. In this free virtual series, you're learning how to connect to your inner authority and recognize and clear your inner glass ceilings so you can show up in your life in a bigger, more confident, and more empowered way. When you take it all in, you will walk away with the insights and action steps to powerfully create your own success and level up your life. Today, I have the pleasure of interviewing Lisa Barnett. Lisa Barnett is the international best-selling author of From Questioning to Knowing, 73 Prayers to Transform Your Life, and The Infinite Wisdom of the Akashic Records. She is the founder of Akashic Knowing School of Wisdom, where she's specializing in teaching you to access personal soul wisdom and guidance to transform your life, working directly with your Akashic record keepers. Lisa offers Akashic reading and healing sessions to clear out old soul contracts, release karma and vows, helping individuals align with their soul's path. Hi, Lisa. Welcome to the summit.
Hi, Shelley. Thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So for those in the audience that aren't aware of the Akashic Records, can you give us a sense of what those are, what that's about?
Absolutely. So the Akashic Record is the recording of your soul's journey throughout time. So if you imagine that from the moment you individuated from source, your soul went on a journey through the ethers, the galaxies, other planets, planes, and dimensions, and eventually we come here to Earth. So if you imagine that you have thousands and thousands and millions of lifetimes, really in so many different ways and places, every one of those lives has been recorded in the etheric energy that we call the Akashic Record. It is the information arm of source is another way of looking at it. But the very cool thing is that you have your very own personal library, each one of you, and you have your very own personal record keepers or librarians. So there is a very specific set of guides who are here. They only work in the records. They've never been human. They're no one that you know. And they're not angels, ascended masters. They're here in support to you and helping you to understand your soul's plan.
Okay, so there's a lot there.
I know.
There's a lot there. So from the perspective of the summit, we're talking about clearing the thing, knowing your soul purpose and stepping into it, and then clearing the things that would hold you back from expressing in your biggest, most successful way. So I'm certain that the Akashic Records could help us with that. In what ways do you think?
Well, really in all of the ways you listed. One of the ways is in discovering our soul purpose. And I find that in the Akashic Records, it's often bigger than we imagine. I think as, people, we often think it's, what kind of job should I be doing? Or, what is that purpose? And we think of it more as a singular item. But the truth is that most of us have numerous purposes that show up at different times in our lives. And we can learn more about that in our Akashic Records, because before we come into a body, we make a plan and we say, this is what I want to do. These are some of the gifts I want to share.
Mind blown. So the records are, and the record keepers are available to us, and we're able to connect to them to learn why we chose to incarnate in this lifetime and what we bring into this existence. Did I catch that right? That's profound.
Yes. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So
wow,
the Akashic Records have been really hidden from the planet for over 1,000 years because people misuse the information.
Oh.
It is profound and expansive information.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could see how it could be misused if, if people had the wrong intentions for the information. So I don't want to delve too deeply into that aspect as much as to open up the possibility of that now there's a tool and a way to connect to why we're here and step into that feeling of purpose, and there's a reason and a good intention for being here and something that I came to do, for example. So if say we know it, what sort of what that is, how else would we use the records to connect and express that in a more fulsome way?
Well, they're so expansive because we are such ancient souls. So I would venture to say that if you're listening to this summit and you're interested in this sort of topic, you are a very ancient soul, which means most of us have probably had 400, 600, 800 lifetimes here on Earth alone, not to mention other places and dimensions. So
Wow.
you are very wise. You have so many gifts. But often here we just think of ourselves as this little person, right? This kind of a one-shot deal. But when we start to work in the Akashic Records, and this is one of the reasons I love to teach people this empowerment tool, is it's a process of opening to so many levels of truth about yourself. And we can do clearing around traumas and emotional pain. We can go into past lives and clear blocks, as well as reclaim that energy of a profound gift that you had, a talent that you had, usually in more than one lifetime. And those are connected to your soul path and purpose.
Oh, cool. So all the tools that we need to be successful in this lifetime are already inside of us in our records. We just need to be able to tap into them and bring them forward.
Right.
Oh, that's
Yes,
powerful.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
That is powerful. So one of the things that that people struggle with is recognizing in themselves what's holding them back from being as successful as they could be, and it could be something like lodged in the back of their mind that they picked up inadvertently as they were growing up, or it could be something profound like a trauma that they're having trouble overcoming. Like for me, for example, was learning to trust again after trauma. So when people recognize that there's something that's holding them back, or even when they don't recognize, can the records help them to connect to and maybe clear or heal some of those aspects that may be holding us back from realizing that grand vision our soul had?
Absolutely. So we're very complicated souls, having this one little human experience at the moment. But one of the things that we plan when we come here is to learn and grow as a soul. So we even write into that soul plan sometimes what we might refer to as a karmic pattern. It may show up as a trauma. It's around learning and growing and moving through it so that we can really be stronger. Sometimes we come through it and we use what we've learned to teach other people and support other people in moving through a similar challenge or trauma or a karmic pattern. And so we really come to grow. That's our great main purpose as a soul. So you kind of put that at the top of your soul purpose. And then, of course, we have all these amazing gifts that we can reclaim. But because we're human, most of us have some level of self-doubt, some low self-esteem. We've had challenging childhoods or bosses or bullying, or of course, much worse, abuse. And all of that is affecting our ability to stand in the truth of who we are as ancient, wise, divine souls.
So is part of that
yeah.
a baggage or conditioning or learning in this lifetime? I mean, that becomes a part of us. And so it'd be, by extension, a part of our record. Is there a way to clear that in our record, or at least heal in our current understanding of why we went
Yeah.
through a lot of that?
Absolutely. So on numerous levels, what happens, so if you imagine that your Akashic record is stored in pure divine source energy, and these beings of light are pure source, no judgment, only unconditional love. And of course, this vibration of source, which is completely healing. So, what I do for my clients and I teach my students is literally to go into the quantum field of the all, where we can clear pain and wounds. We can actually retrieve soul pieces and parts that get splintered off through trauma. And so we can go back into other lifetimes and retrieve soul parts, as well as even from our childhood. So we can do tremendous energetic healing and clearing and reclaiming through the Akashic field.
So that sounds a lot like it's more than just healing me and my experience, because you've gone into the broader Akashic field, and that becomes what, healing for humanity by healing one or two people. It can be that expansive.
It absolutely ripples out. So we all have our very own record, right? So that is, of course, all part of source. So as we heal ourselves, that energy is rippling out. And sometimes what we do in the records is also we heal group contracts that are old and we don't need anymore. Many people, I find, especially the healers and the light workers, often have group contracts to stay hidden because we were part of pagan groups that were under attack, or maybe we were seen or killed for being witches or healers at different times in history. So often we have that part from these other lives where we're like, I don't want to be seen. I don't, I don't want you to know I'm here. I'm afraid that could be detrimental to my life. So of course, these are unconscious energies, but they can really mess with our abundance, because as healers, we often have, say, taken vows of poverty when we've been part of spiritual groups, whether we were monks or priests or nuns. We've often taken some form of vow of poverty. And we've also had these other sorts of esoteric lives where we didn't really want to be out there too obviously. So a lot of that can affect our sharing our gifts in the world.
So going into our records and being able to clear some of those, what did you call them? Soul contracts or group contracts?
Right, group contracts.
And then clearing, is it a clearing of the vows of poverty, or we rewrite our vows of poverty? What happens?
Yeah, so there are certain things that the way I see it, like in a old, say, soul contract or group contract, it's kind of stuck outside of time and space. It's not valid anymore. It's in another life and you're living this life. You've got present soul contracts here. The record keepers actually burn them up. Because when we burn things, it's recycling it. We're freeing the energy to be recycled for the highest good of all concerned.
Oh, I love that. So, I love that. It's transmuted and reused then.
Absolutely.
Oh, phenomenal. I love that. So in our current state of what does success mean to you? There's any number of things you touched on that could hinder us from achieving our success. But in terms of, did we come into this lifetime with a definition of what, you said a soul plan, but does it include how you're successful and how you would achieve that soul plan?
It's a good question. They're a little bigger pictures in a sense. So you might bring in, I'll use myself as an example because it's the easiest example I have. So I wanted to bring in some of my gifts of writing, of being an author or sharing, being a teacher, being a spiritual teacher. My biggest purpose would be to share the Akashic records with humanity after it was pulled away from the planet for 1,000 years. So, but I also have a part, I have 3 children. There's a part of my soul plan, which was to be a mother, to help, to raise conscious children. So there are many different pieces and they show up at different times in our life. And I think that one of the, and sometimes they really are about the karmic patterns and about the loss or the challenges. And so that's, of course, woven in through our lives. Some of us have most of that in our childhood, and we spend a lot of years working through it until we can bring that energy to completion and share the gifts that we've received from that challenge.
So
So,
what, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, so it is very complicated, and it's really never the same, for any 2 people.
Yeah, yeah, and that's pretty profound too, because it's unique to you and what your soul's journey and experiences have been, even beyond this particular lifetime. So, who knows? Unless you go into the records, who knows what you've brought forward from your past lifetimes and the whatever you've experienced in those. So, you can go back in time and clear some of those things that might be holding you up now in your records too, right?
Yes, yes. And to me, the part that is most exciting is the yes, of course, we want to get rid of the blocks, but then we want to reclaim the gifts, because that's the exciting part. So many years ago, when my Akashic record keepers asked me to help bring this work back to the world, and they said, write a book. And I said, right. I can't even spell. Seriously? So they said, you've had many lives as an author. You've done this many times. And so I literally would open my records and I would say, show me a past life in which I was an author, in which I wrote with ease. Right, you want to pick all those good things, in which I was published, show me a lifetime in which whatever, this was very fun, which I got to speak about what I was, bringing forward. And so you literally can go kind of through and see all these different lifetimes and pull them into the present, really like bringing that energy into your body now.
Oh, that's cool. Obviously it doesn't recognize time and space. It's just there in the energetic field, and it's available for whatever you need.
Right,
That's,
right. So
that's powerful.
if you think of your soul as so huge, right? And so it's just this little sliver of your big oversoul in this body now. It's kind of like we're going back into that quantum field and going, oh, pluck, I'd like that, and I pluck, I'd like that. And we can energetically really download them back into this body life consciously now.
That's cool. Can it help you? Well, you probably have infinite experiences in your record that you have access to as an individual, but say that there's something brand spanking new that you want to bring into it. Does it help you accelerate your learning in that area too, potentially?
Absolutely. I think we are so infinite. And of course, because there isn't any time and space, you can imagine that you can go to your future self and say, oh, bring that, what you've already learned, back to me now. So it really is that fluid. And it can be that subtle also, right? But what I found is that when I could go back and see different lifetimes where I was an author, which I could do this with ease, it gave me, it just kind of gave me the ability to see the possibility, to say, oh, I've been that. I can remember that vaguely, but I remember that, I get that. And it just helped me to kind of get over myself, right? And I think that often the validation is phenomenal for us, to see ourselves in another life as an author or a speaker or a healer or a teacher or an inventor. I know there's a lot of people here who have come to bring new and ancient inventions into the world now. So
Maybe.
lots of exciting stuff.
Yes, yes, and being open to it. I think that's the key. I mean, you mentioned getting out of your own way. To be open to the possibility that you can be more than what you are currently now. Like my current expression doesn't include whatever, but does mean that my vision of my future self doesn't have that in their experience. And so living the way that you want to be in the future right now with those talents and those gifts and that beingness is like huge. That's profound. And the Akashic records and connecting to them can help you to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that I see that makes it such a gift too is that it allows us to really feel that expansiveness, that really big, infinite truth of ourselves, which I find for most people kind of takes away some of the fear, right? Everybody has, it's kind of programmed into us, all this fear. And when we realize we're infinite, we've had hundreds and hundreds of lives, but we've done amazing things and lived through all sorts of different challenges, it kind of shifts your view of yourself, of your life, of the world.
Yeah.
And that's transformational in its own right.
Yes, that incredibly so. I mean, if you're spending all your time worrying about the he said, she said in the workplace, and all of a sudden you realize how much it doesn't maybe matter into the bigger picture, that would be hugely shifting in perspective, but also how you show up in that environment, right? So the more expansive version of you that doesn't have to parry and thrust with, you know, maybe some of that very normal engagement that people can have.
I agree. I think that seeing ourselves from this bigger scope, I always say it's kind of like, you know, taking a nice little rocket ship to the moon and looking down at the earth, and it's gorgeous and spectacular, and we're all of a sudden in love and enthralled with this beautiful planet, instead of when we're standing, you know, knee deep in mud and we're thinking like, oh, this sucks, right? So very different. Yeah.
A very different perspective, for sure. So it sounds like there's a lot of power in connecting and revisiting, maybe on a recurring basis, your records for helping with decision making and helping bring your gifts forward, and helping to have ease and grace and flow in your life, that, you know, and overcoming blocks and barriers that, you know, maybe you don't know how to clear or power through in some way, or overcoming those fears. Just very amazing capability that's now available to us. So thank you for being a guide in that journey for us. I appreciate the opportunity is huge, I think, for people to be able to step into and understand a broader reason for being in this lifetime, for sure.
Yes, I so agree. And, you know, after doing this for over 20 years, I'm really seeing the consciousness escalate. 20 years ago, people had no idea what the Akashic records are. And now most of the people I've spoken to, you know, especially in the spiritual groups, are fully aware and, or, you know, have often had a reading, or, you know, are interested or curious. So I see that it's really growing, and it is profound work. So that is, to me, it's so exciting, because I think it really changes our view of the world. And the record keepers have me writing 2 more books as we speak, because there's just, they have a lot of stuff to say. So learning to access your own Akashic records is amazing, to be able to have that kind of daily conversation with these beings of light who are here to support you on your soul's path and with your soul work.
Oh, that's so amazing and reassuring, because bringing in your future, like the vision of your future when your present is kind of ugly and challenging, gives hope, I think, and some perspective that we can drive to a better experience of our circumstances or situation or our life.
I agree. Absolutely. And we're here right now. I think all of us are here to create the new earth. And that is about thinking out of the box, letting go of the old karma that's already been transformed in the higher etheric realms, to understand what we came to learn, to be the love, the compassion, to live in gratitude. All of that is helpful to really help us to transform and start to create a new earth. But also, you know, bringing in new businesses and new ways of you know, working in the world, as we're all learning to do in the last
Yes.
few months,
Yes.
right? So
It's a new way of
a
being,
lot
but
of
it's
fun.
also a new way of experiencing as our earth shifts into this new reality and we're transitioning along with it. There's a lot of there. Yes. So you had mentioned vows of poverty can be cleared. What is a vow of poverty, and how would it manifest in this lifetime if we don't do something about it?
So I would suggest that because we have, I'm going to say around 500 lifetimes here, that most of us who are on a spiritual path have been on a spiritual path for many, many, many lifetimes, which means that often we have also been nuns or monks or priests or some sort of been part of a spiritual group or religious group. And often in the religious groups, we have taken vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And that vow of poverty says, I will not take money for my God-given gifts. So that pretty much covers most things, right? But
Yes.
certainly for people who are entrepreneurs who want to have their own business, and people who are healers, I mean, a million different kinds of jobs come into play there. So I often find that clients will come to me and they'll say, I just feel like I have to work really hard, but I can never make enough money, or all the money that comes in goes right back out, or, and these can be a variety of different reasons. So when it comes to abundance, there's, I'm going to say, kind of a basic 5 or 6 different levels and layers of things that block us from really being in our universal acceptance and abundance, because we have past life vows such as poverty, which we'll do a little clearing around if you like.
Yes, love to. Love to.
Yeah, we have ancestors. There's a lot of ancestral lineage energy that says you have to work really hard just to survive. There's a lot of beliefs that we've gotten from our ancestors, as well as our families, conscious and unconscious, and the collective out in the world. So we have a bunch of different layers of energy that hold us back, including our own ability to receive. So many of us don't believe that that we're worthy of receiving, say, a lot of money or great abundance of love and health and joy. All of that is, right, part of the abundance. And so creating a space, a vessel to hold the goodness of the universe that is truly here for you is another part of often what I teach people when we do abundance work. And so we can do some work around clearing past life vows. Sometimes it will do 2 kinds of vows. One vow is the vow of poverty, which we took when we were part of a religion or some sort of group. And the other one is, we often will have some lifetime where we were very wealthy, but someone killed us for our money, or we were not very nice because we were so rich, and then we ended up maybe dying alone, being very lonely. So in numerous different ways, we can take these vows. You can say, as you're dying alone, the deathbed vows are one of the strongest types of vows, to say, I never want to be rich again because, like, that made me a terrible person, right? Or,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
So
not
bringing
right to
those
take.
in, not even realizing that those are in your past lives, and you're bringing them in, and it's like, okay, why am I struggling so hard for whatever, abundance that I'm striving for? And it's like, why is this so hard? So
Right?
yeah, so that could apply to anybody, not just necessarily healers and light workers. Anybody could have those experiences in their past that bring those forward.
Right.
So I think it's widely applicable. Do you mind doing the clearing that you suggested?
No, I would love to. I would love to. I always think it's great. I believe that we came here to be abundant beings in this glorious world, and that's our universal right,
Yes,
right?
yes, I love
Abundance of
that
all kinds.
thought.
Yes.
I love that thought, especially as everybody is struggling with our current circumstances and a lot of people have lost their jobs, and it doesn't feel very abundant when you're struggling and worrying and fearing and that kind of a thing. So having a place to connect in faith and hope that things will work out for the best, and then be open to the possibility of shifting how you make your livelihood. I think there's an opportunity here if we just step into it.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think it's important to notice other kinds of abundance. So we may have lost a job, but we may have a great family who's very loving and supportive, right? So when we put that energy of gratitude and love into all kinds of abundance, our health, our vitality, if we're great at having fun and joy and love, all of that, as we recognize all parts and then really be grateful for all of the good that is already here, we're the magnet for more good, right? That's how the universe really works. So that's why gratitude is so powerful, when we can just be grateful for being healthy and having, a loving whatever, cat,
Yeah.
child, spouse, best friend, it doesn't matter what it is, having, some level of love in your life that you're connected to, that you feel. A lot of this is really around our feelings, and so our emotions are very much the power to our abundance also.
I love
So
that.
just
The
all
joy.
good things.
Yeah, the joy and the anticipation of fun, or positive change in our future. I think that that kind of energy is very powerful to keep you fired up to move into a new
Yep.
experience of your life, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to just do a little brief guided visualization. I'll bring everybody into the Akashic energy field with me. And then what we'll do is we will ask our Akashic record keepers to help us to clear and release any past life vows of poverty that we've taken, or they're both past life vows of, let's clear, not being seen and not wanting to have money because we've gotten ourselves killed that way, or some trauma connected to money where we've blamed the money, which is, the money's never to blame, right? So we'll clear a variety of different past life vows while we're at it. Why not,
Oh,
right?
fantastic. Okay, I'm ready when you are.
Okay, good. Oh, so just taking a nice deep breath as we drop down into our heart. And if you're in a place where you're comfortable closing your eyes, you can go ahead and do that. And we just like to connect down deep into our body, and with our feet on the ground, we can connect to our dear Mother Earth beneath our feet. Staying grounded and present as we do this expansive work today. We ask the Divine Lords of Unconditional Love to help us settle deeply down into our heart as we create this sacred space today. Please wrap us in your love and protection, and allow us to travel to the highest realms of the Akasha available to us today. Please help us relay our multidimensional hearts open to divine love and release all resistance. Lords of the Akashic Record, please guide us to the deepest truth we can access now, and support us in healing and releasing that which no longer serves on our true path. We give great thanks for your divine support on this journey today. So just taking a nice breath. We bring a beautiful Akashic column of light around us as we're bridging from the Akashic field of divine source right here down to earth. And even as we allow ourselves to be the bridge between the divine we are helping to expand this high vibration out into the planet. And we ask our record keepers to help us to clear any past lives in which we took a vow of poverty, in which we were a priest or a nun or a monk. And we just ask our record keepers to help us to recycle that energy. I often see it like a scroll. Maybe if you had written that vow on an ancient scroll and now we're burning them. And as we burn them, the flames, the smoke, the ash is released, and that energy is recycled back into your body for the highest good, back wherever is the highest place for it to go. Releasing the vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, none of which serve us any longer in this life. So through all time, space continuum, all places, planes, and dimensions, we clear and release those vows. Just taking a nice breath, you might notice energy moving in your field. And now we ask our record keepers to clear any vow that we made on a deathbed where we say, I do not want to have money because it makes me a bad person, or it got me killed, or I just don't like that energy of money. I don't trust having money. Any kind of vows that you may have written through all time space continuum, any past life. Could even possibly be in this life. We sometimes have that kind of thought. If some bully picked on you and took your lunch money, you may have said, I don't even want to have money because then I get bullied. Wherever it is, this life or other lifetimes, we want to clear and release all of those vows. Letting that go. And again, just taking a nice deep breath. And any other vows we may have made in this life or past lives that hold us back from the abundance of the universe, that hold us from accepting and receiving that beautiful divine abundance into our physical energy field body life. We release any of those vows through all time, space, continuum, all places, planes, and dimensions. And we open to receive the abundance of the universe now. And just let yourself feel or notice, however it might be for you, that energy moving to you and through you. And if you don't notice anything, that's okay. Some people are more feeling clairsentient. Some people are more clairvoyant or clairaudient. Sometimes we feel it like swirly energy or cool breeze. It's all just in perfect divine right order. And filling ourselves up with all the highest Akashic light, wisdom, and energy we can now hold, now that we've cleared out some old vows and patterns. We thank the masters, the teachers, the beings of light for the healing, the clearing, and the divine abundance that we have now received. And we close and lock our records for now. And so it is. Blessed be.
Whew. Thank you for that. I feel lighter.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I must have released.
Often,
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
It's often what people say, I feel lighter. It's a good thing.
It's like carrying around a burden or a backpack that you didn't even know was there. And then when you set it down and you're like, oh.
Right? That weight of the world, lift off your shoulders.
Yes. Well, what an amazing feeling. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Well, we're running out of time. So let me introduce your free gift. So For our listeners who want to stay in touch, your free gift is the Prayers of Abundance ebook. Can you share what that is?
Yeah, so if you would like a simple tool to increase the abundance in your life, I have channeled 10 Akashic healing prayers that are very specific towards abundance. They help you to clear these old limiting beliefs. So we release more past life vows. There's a prayer for financial abundance. There's a prayer to help you in moving forward in your life, as well as another 7 Akashic prayers that we've channeled with that energy. The Akashic vibration of pure love and light is imbued into these healing prayers. And so people find them very powerful and transformational. So you can just download the ebook and do these prayers. I love to say 1 or 2 a day, every day for a while, and just see how that shows up for you in your life, expanding that space to receive.
Yes, if by saying these prayers you feel lighter every time and you're opening to more expansive perceptions, that's all goodness. That's all goodness. Thank you for that. It sounds amazing. I know our audience is going to want to go check those out right away. So for our audience, I provided the link to the Summit Speaker Replay page. You'll find it there, and also on the Summit announcement email for this interview. So thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you joining us today and clearing our vast vows of poverty. Appreciate that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you, Shelley.
So with that, to our community, be sure to look for our next interviews in your inbox. You have access for a full 7 days after each interview. And be sure to visit the replay page for sure. You'll find Lisa's links there and also other ways to get in touch with her on her webpage. We'll see you again soon in our next episode. And until then, shine your light into the world powerfully and in your highest expression. Thanks, Lisa. See you soon.